Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are positively using the new virtual background here, and I'm going to start holding up all of my clients, but I have to keep them inside because if I hold them up here, they wind up standing out in the middle of everyone. Big appreciation to Planet Fitness and all of our sponsors and friends, including this next guest who joins us each and every week, and I join him on the Thursday edition of the Dennis Koulatsos Show, now found at D Koulatsos Show out on Twitter, and on Sunday mornings as well. And, between seasons, we get together here and talk about, maybe a golf game and fishing and maybe some draft picks. Dennis Koulatsos joins us from Coons Ford Security Boulevard. He'll be here again on Thursday getting you ready for the weekend. What's going on out there, man? Weather breaking. We got stuff happening around here. And, I guess more than anything, getting ready for free agency, getting ready for draft time. This is one of your favorite times of the year to be a football fan.
Yeah, it really is. There's definitely a slow period between now and then. We focused our attention over the weekend to some golf, some wrestling. By the way, I don't know if I ever told you, but The Miz reminds me of you. You guys have similar dynamic personalities. So
I don't know The Miz. Who's The Miz?
Oh, he's a great wrestler. He also has a show, and he's a lot like you. You guys are both energetic, positive.
Should have him on the show.
Dynamic. We need to get him on his show. Miz is very entertaining. You would enjoy. He'd be a great interview. You would love having him on.
We had Bianca Belair on a couple weeks ago. We can do that. We can do anything, right?
The Miz is huge, though. He just won a title the other night, and look, it's just a great time of the year. We have 60-degree temperatures midweek, right? Gets us thinking about spring. Gets us thinking about, as you mentioned, free agency in the NFL. Gets us thinking about draft picks and the buzz that's out there, right? Who's coming? Who's going? And the Orlando Brown Jr. saga continues.
I did a Ric Flair last week. My wife and I went for a walk on like the really, really cold night, like Mardi Gras week, it was really cold. We thought like we were going to go out, and we made it a half a block, and we turned back around, and I was doing some Ric Flair. Woo, woo, I had that going on. So I did a little wrestling last week. I told you I watched the Fabulous Moolah thing. I'm still going to catch up on the rest of those dark side of the ring thing. But I had an old friend on this week, and maybe this is a good jumping off point for you and I. Back with Super Bowl 35, I had Jack Del Rio on, and Marvin, and Coach, and Goose, and people checked in. Redmond and Stokely checked in last month. But some other folks were a little straggling to get back to me. Like Phil Savage said, you have to ask for my boss's permission, and I found that his boss is Joe Douglas. And I'm like, Joe was the Turk. Joe's in my phone. So I hit Joe, and Joe's like, not only can Phil come on, but I want to come on. So
nice.
Joe and I made a Sunday morning date. This is because he's got the second pick in the draft. He looks a little haggard and tired. The Jet season will do that to you, I think. But we did reminisce about what it was like to have his first job and win a championship and 20 years later. And it is fascinating that Luke and I had a long chat about the coaching staff of John Harbaugh and how much change there has been. Not Roman, not Wink, and they brought in Rob Ryan, they brought in Anthony Weaver. But this is the time of the year where the coaches try to figure out who the lieutenants are going to be in all the seats. And I found an old picture of Clarence Brooks because they brought Jason Brooks back that I shared out on social media on Monday morning as well. But the notion that that this is the time that you're picking these assistants and who you're going to go with and where it's going to be. But Joe Douglas checked in. I mean, he's hired a head coach in the last couple of weeks. He's got the second pick in the draft, right? He's got a dangling quarterback. He's got our former quarterback, and he made a little time to come on and reminisce this week.
Yeah, he's a great quality guy, but again, a lot of moving parts. You mentioned the Ravens coaching staff. I saw Marlon Humphrey tweet out that they're going to use the first day of training camp for our introductions, right, to meet the new coaches, and the running back coach.
He's a snarky one out on Twitter.
He is. He's a very nice young man, but he's very loquacious out there on Twitter, if you will. But lost a running back coach to brother Jim Harbaugh over there at Michigan. And again, a lot of moving parts. Anthony Weaver coming back home, as you mentioned, Rob Ryan. And the assistants, you've been around long enough, Nestor, they make a big difference, a huge difference in how the team gets constructed, how they communicate with the players, the makeup of the team, how they get in the players' head. And their job is to elevate the players' game. And the assistant coaches that's what it's all about. You're only as good as your people, right? It's people and processes, no matter what the business is. And the Ravens are no exception as they gear up for the draft. And look at our friends up north with the Jets. Yeah, second pick of the draft. Phil and Joe got to get it right. If they get it right, they may have Hall of Fame careers, and if not, they'll be looking for jobs elsewhere. That's the kind of pressure that they're under.
Well, we talked about this last week with John Feinstein. You can go out to Baltimore Positive. Don and I had John on, and we were talking about the nomadic existence of coaches, right? Like, you're in the car business over Coon. How many years at Coons 4 Security Boulevard for you, Dan?
15 plus. It's been a long time.
Yeah, and but you were somewhere else before. You hope that there's no place after, especially when you've been there 15 years at our age, right? But the coaching profession and how much you need to move around. I mean, Joe Douglas was here 15 years, didn't move, right? And had opportunities to go do all sorts of things, right? Every year when you're a winner, they knock on your door, right? I mean, I'm sure recruiters have knocked on Dennis's door over the last 15 years and said, people have called me about various things. It's fascinating in that business that there's so much movement, and yet John's made it work here long term. Eric DeCosta clearly has made a lifetime of making it work here, that the Ravens are that kind of 15-year kind of organization like Coons Ford is. And there are other places that you take a job and you're just holding on. I don't know if Joe Douglas is going to be the GM of the Jets 3 years from now or 4 years from now, because I know what the Jets have been about, and I know what their ownership's been about. It's like you're telling me you got a long-term assignment with the Cleveland Browns. You probably don't.
Yeah.
And then Marvin makes Cincinnati work for all those years and stays there and at least gets some stability so they could win. Got to a second quarterback there, right? That has become a lot more a part of the lexicon, I think, in the NFL, certainly college football too, where you try to keep your coach for a period of time. I mean, like him or hate him with Turgeon, he's working on a decade now, right? That there haven't been three other guys since Gary's. There's been one. That the institutional knowledge that you're trying to put in, Joe Douglas is trying to bring the Raven way to the New York Jets in a place where he's got Joe Namath hanging over him, and things haven't been right since Super Bowl III, literally, right?
Well, he's got a tall task ahead of him, Nestor. Sam Darnold, is he going to be their long-term or short-term answer? How does Joe Flacco fit in? They hold the keys to the draft with the second pick there, right? Trevor Lawrence is a given. He'll go to the Jaguars first overall. But again, they're tying their fortunes to a quarterback, and you're coming into the league whether you're coming from the college ranks or through the NFL ranks. If you tie your fortunes to an all-pro, Pro Bowl type of quarterback, you have a chance of having some job stability. We look at our own John Harbaugh. He had a great run with Joe Flacco, and post-Super Bowl, the victory back in 2012, they struggled. Lamar Jackson comes in, goes on a 6-1 run because there was some smoke there. And I don't know about fire, but there was definitely smoke about John Harbaugh and his coaching staff perhaps being in trouble had they missed the playoffs once again. They catch five, they catch lightning in a bottle with Lamar, 6-1, make the playoffs now. We're 3 years into the Lamar Jackson era. And Mike Tomlin, your friend, is no longer worried about John Harbaugh's job stability. Now, the reverse could be true. Things might be getting stale up there in Pittsburgh. They've got a heck of a cap situation at 42
million. How about last week, the news that maybe Ben wants to come back and maybe we don't,
he wants to come back, but the other one, and they want him back, not at 42 million, right? So that's the big headache hanging over Kevin Colbert and Mike Tomlin at this point. Headaches that the Ravens just don't have at this time.
Well, who's going to go pay Ben to play next year? Who's picking him up? Seriously.
I mean,
that maybe the Tom Brady thing makes it, if I don't have a quarterback, I'll take him and I'll give him $35 million next year, let him come play. But I don't know that everybody's chomping at the bit to have Ben Roethlisberger. It's an interesting time for pay and play, as Coach Billick would say, right? Like wherever the negotiation is at this point. But, man, Brady winning the Super Bowl sort of weirds everything up, right?
It does. It does give hope to guys like Roethlisberger and Aaron Rodgers. Looks like Drew Brees is tapping out. But if you get yourself a good running game and a good offensive line and some good skill players at the wide receiver, you can have a long career, particularly with the rules now for the last 10, 12 years that have been designed to favor protecting the quarterbacks. You just can't take free shots at him anymore. That lends itself to those guys having longer careers. Will a team that's close take a shot at a Ben Roethlisberger? I don't think it's a stretch. I think if the Steelers get enough value for him, I can very well see that happening.
Well, Indianapolis just went all in on Carson Wentz, right? Like, I don't know whether that's a good idea or not. Certainly, Frank Reich, knows what he's doing out there. He had Phillip Rivers. Frank Reich isn't going all in on some young quarterback. He wants to know what he's getting. The Philadelphia situation with Wentz, My boy Jim Schwartz is out of it up there now, and Peterson's out, and it's all change and all that. And I just had Joe Douglas on. All of a sudden, Philadelphia's become a dumpster fire, right? By the way, I was at the radio station over the weekend. I found that bag that I took home from Minneapolis with all the green and white confetti that I picked up from the ground with Torrey Smith and all that. I haven't even given away my Eagles Super Bowl swag, and the whole front office and the quarterback. There are 3 quarterbacks gone now, right? So it happens quickly. So when I talk about stability, and I guess what I was talking about with Feinstein and Ryan Odom is we were talking about Ryan Odom taking a job after that UMBC thing and not being a nomad. You don't want to find yourself. Look at Phil Savage, right? He goes out to Cleveland, winds up, being a decade and a half later, coming back to work in the league with the Jets with someone else, but being on the outside looking in, which is another part of all of this for coaches, for executives, that there is an immense amount of pressure, on Mike Elias right now to get the Orioles better for all of these, because it really is a not for long, right? Like, you're not going to stick around unless you've won a Super Bowl. And even if you win a Super Bowl and you're Doug Peterson, they still throw you out 3 years later.
Well, you better have an understanding spouse, right? If you're going to be make your living in the NFL, in the front office or at the coaching level.
Green Bay or Buffalo, honey? Or Detroit?
Wow, then you got the kids. You got to situate them, right? Their schools, then your residents. You got to figure out where you're going to live, how long you're going to live there. Are you buying? Are you renting? So all of these factors that, they make a lot of money, but they also pay a price for that money that's not lost upon us. For our entertainment,
I can hang out at
right?
Cliff Kingsbury's house, though. I'll tell you that right now on draft day, right?
Nothing wrong with that, but it's a fascinating time of the year with all the moving parts, and there's a storylines in every city right now. Philadelphia, are they going to go in with Jalen Hurts? Are they going to give him a chance to develop, or are they going to draft a quarterback high?
Maybe they'll trade for Sam Darnold.
They might, and in this league, as we've seen, Nestor, you just can't win without a good quarterback. If you don't have a good quarterback, you don't have a chance. Oftentimes, I ask myself when I analyze teams that are close, which quarterback would I rather have? And more often than not, when the better quarterback wins that game. That's what they get paid the big money for, because you got to have that driver to have a chance to win consistently, and of course to save jobs and to get coaches promoted. And Nestor, is there another team that's better than the Baltimore Ravens in promoting coaches?
No, but then guys hit their head and they have to go work for John's brother in Ann Arbor or whatever, right? Like, there's only one coordinator. So, that's where we are. They have done things this offseason that feel in line with John. Deep relationship, Jason Brooks, Anthony Weaver, who was around here when John got off the boat, like all of that. This is the way the Ravens do their offseason. So if Marlon Humphrey wants to, talk on Twitter about meet and greets and whatnot, that's the way it is. Welcome to the National Football League, son. You know what I mean? You hang around here 12 years, even if your name's Ed Reed, you're going to wind up meeting every Terrell Austin and Marvin Lewis and Jack Del Rio and Mike Nolan and Rex Ryan and Mike Pettin. And I'm only naming half of them before Harbaugh even got here, right? So every player experiences this. And we talked years ago about Flacco having Zorn one year and, from Matt Cavanaugh on,
sure,
that part of that is you learn from teachers. And you and I had a different social studies teacher at EVT and Dundalk every year. You learn differently from different teachers. Probably not a bad thing.
I think it's a great thing, particularly when you have a longtime coach in John Harbaugh. The coordinators, the assistants, I think it's healthy for them to rotate them in and out, because that way his message doesn't get lost. He still has his core principles, values, how he does things. But when you bring in new energy, Rob Ryan and Anthony Weaver and the other coaches you mentioned, that just adds a different mix to the staff, a different freshness, perhaps different ideas. This worked over here in Houston. This worked over there. And when you put them all together under the umbrella of John Harbaugh, I think the team potentially gets better. When you lose coordinators, you don't necessarily, and coaches, you don't necessarily get worse. Sometimes you get better, and that's a chance you have to take. And I think it's healthy, and I think it's very good.
You talking about firing Cam Cameron?
You know what? It's if Cam Cameron doesn't get fired, the Ravens don't win a Super Bowl, right? And of course, we had Matt McKinney. If he doesn't get to left tackle and plays, maybe we don't get to the
And
Super
maybe
Bowl.
Jim Caldwell doesn't get a shot in Detroit. Maybe and
Absolutely.
maybe and maybe, right?
Yeah, so all these things, change isn't always bad. I think, and change is very good. I think, especially when it's planned change, when it's not reactive change. Even perfect apples get bruised if you don't mix them up, move them around in an apple cart, right? So,
Man, you think
change is,
about the coaches who've been through here. He's brought Spagnuolo through here,
yeah,
Kubiak through here, like
sure. Yeah, does
Vic
Kubiak get a second
Fangio, like
chance?
all of these people.
Does Kubiak get a second chance if he doesn't come to Baltimore as a head coach? You know,
Probably not.
he transformed that offense. I mean, Joe Flacco had his best year statistically under Gary Kubiak. Justin Forsett went off, and that team made the playoffs. They backed into it, but they made the playoffs, so that put Gary Kubiak right back on the
They had a
consideration map.
14-point lead in Foxborough. Let's
They
bring
did.
that up.
Come on now.
You're not going to be blaming that on Joe Flacco and Justin Forsett and Gary Kubiak. Not on this program, Dennis Koulatsos.
No.
The Koulatsos Show, the way to find him out on Twitter. You can find him on Thursday afternoons live, Sunday on the rebroadcast, and, of course, out on Twitter. And usually, whether on snowy days or sunny days, he's got something for you over there at Coons Ford Security Boulevard. Run me through the what's going to be happening in March and April out on your blacktop there.
You know what? I took out over the weekend the new all-electric Mach E. It's a terrific vehicle. It's 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, and I can confirm that. We have so many great offerings.
Whoa. I'm Googling this. What is this?
It's a Mach E, MACH-E, the Ford Mach E. It's an SUV. It's again, I've got to get that over to you and Jen in addition to a Mustang. But this is a Mustang. This is a Mustang SUV, Nestor, all-electric. The GT model, the range is 300 miles. It's eco-friendly, if you will, and just a
I'm looking at a 33-minute video on YouTube.
Oh my God,
it's
amazing! It's amazing. They're selling as soon as they hit the lot. They're hotter than pancakes. And I tell you what, it's a wonderful vehicle. We got that. We got the 21 F-150. We got the new Bronco, the little one, and we got the big one coming in the summer. Business is very good. We just need inventory because the plants have slowed down with production. Their computer chip shortage, their ice and the weather has shut down certain plants. But now is a great time to come get something because inventory will get tight in the spring and summer if people have money, especially in this region.
That's stylish, it says here. Yeah,
it is.
The past and the future collide on the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach E. This is good. This is what we try to do, educate ourselves around here.
Yeah, 15.5-inch screen. Looks like a tablet in the middle of your vehicle.
I don't need all that. Mulder and I got into watching movies. I don't even watch movies at home. I don't need to watch a movie in the car.
But you know what? We're if we don't blow ourselves up off this planet first, we're definitely on our way to becoming the Jetsons. Now you have electric cars. Next thing is the only thing left is for them to hover over the ground and just say, listen, take me to the studio or take me to the movie theater, and boom, it'll just take you there. You just hop in and it'll drive itself. It'll be safe. And technology is amazing, and it's still moving at a very breakneck speed. These are spaceships, Nestor. They're no longer vehicles.
I thought about you over the weekend because I wanted Christmas cookies, all right? And Greek Christmas cookies, right? So I thought about it, and my wife and I were like, we stopped at like 15 places on Saturday, different places, buying one thing here, two things there. And we went on this sort of weird bakery run from downtown, up Bel Air Road, Harford Road, past Moravia. I honked the horn at Sedonia, right where the Popeyes. I said to my wife, I said, Sedonia, right over there. Brandon Scott's, this is his district. Dennis grew up over here. My cousin Nelson was over here, off of a Herring Run. So we go out, and I went on a little bakery run. So I'm going to give a couple free plugs. Can I do that?
Absolutely.
Went to the Woodley Bakery, and I brought a delicious little mini apple turnover, and I got a couple of cookies, delicious cookies. And I wound up because I go to these places for peach bread, peach cake. But I do that in the summer, and I felt like I need to go support them this time of year. So I, spent $5-6, bought a couple of things. But here's the real plug. The Fenwick Bakery is one of the true gems that I never knew about. I still have never had a slice of Gill's pizza. It was a little early in the morning. I didn't want to do it. Yeah? Everybody says that.
I love – look, keep in mind, I spent 12 years on Blair Road, hon, so I'm very familiar with Gill's pizza.
Everybody knows I'm Pizza John's sponsor. But I mean, I eat pizza from other – I actually had Detroit pizza a couple weeks. I love Detroit pizza. A little greasy, but I love it.
Yes.
So I get to the Fenwick Bakery, and, I knew there would be no peach bread, but I said to my wife, every time I come in here, there's so many other things, and all I do is walk out with the peach. And you got to eat the peach bread fresh. So, like, I'm gobbling 2 days worth of peach bread because it's just so freaking good. So I said, I know they're not going to have peach bread, which is going to lead me to get the other stuff. So I wind up looking down in the case, and there. Do you like custard pie, egg custard pie, coconut custard pie?
I like any pie. Look at me.
I love pie, right? I love ice cream. I love pie.
Same.
I looked down, and they had sliced the coconut custard in half, and I looked in there and saw the custard, and I said, I'm having that. I was like a 5-year-old kid. I'm like, I want that. I want that. I didn't even care what it cost. And I brought it home, and I'm telling you, I'm Hispanic, so I've eaten a lot of flan in my life. I like flan. And it was just delicious. So I just want to give a free plug. So I never made it. We wound up at Prima because my wife bought the olive oil in the vat, $25.95, right? The giant green vat where it dumps all out, and the little thing at the top. So we only use Greek olive oil in my house, right? I mean, come on, I know you.
Is there anything else? Extra virgin Greek olive oil. Used it yesterday.
So right. So we stopped by there, and they had the little Greek cookies, but they were in the plastic, and I didn't make it to Yaya's. The idea was we were going to go out to Yaya's, but once I got to the Fenwick, I hit my head on pie. So next week, I'm going to get out for some Greek Christmas cookies. All right?
Well, we have to start getting some sponsorship for all these free plugs. Yes, I'm going to send you the video. Yesterday, I cooked lamb chops, right, with tzatziki sauce, the whole nine.
I drove by Zorba's, and I said to my wife, we got to go in.
You should have, but I tell you what, my lamb chops on a kettle grill, 26-inch Weber with the bricks and everything, and it was delicious. And for dessert, we had some 9-layer Smith Island cake from Sugar Bakers. So there you go. That was my weekend.
That's never been my thing. It's never been. By the way, I've been concocting something with Pete. I'm about to unleash this year, shot mask pending, a whole new thing I'm going to do with eating. Because I love to eat. I eat lots. I have a wider palate than almost anyone this side of Andrew Zimmern. I know so many chefs that, I didn't have them on the show because they didn't want to talk about baseball or whatever, or football or wrestling in your case, or, whatever. But I think I'm going to, this is going to be a big part of Baltimore Positive, is featuring incredible food.
Yes.
Like your friend John over at Jimmy's, best
amazing.
crab soup, right?
Amazing.
My friends at Costas. I would send anybody to Costas to get crabs, crab cakes, whatever. But if you have not had the spinach, the cream spinach, forget about it. There's a barbecue place in Mount Washington. I've never plugged it. And I'm going to tell you right now, Dennis, just you and me listening, okay? It's called Woodrow's. It is the best barbecue I've ever had on the planet.
Really?
And I've been all everywhere. And I've eaten
KC.
4 times in the last 6 months. I haven't told anybody because I don't want to put a run on the brisket up there, okay?
Got it.
But I have discovered there's a beautiful woman and her child that have moved into a place that was called Fat Larry's, about 6 blocks from my house. And it's called Sweet Peas, Peaz. And she's catering, but a lot of Southern fried chicken, catfish, shrimp and grits, all that sort of stuff. The best mac and cheese I've ever had in my life. Better than my mother's. So I'm learning things here about little places, and I want to start giving some free shout-outs, but I'm going to get into some kitchen, and I'm going to learn what cheese she's putting in that so I can figure it out, So I'm going to go Martha Stewart here in 2020 before it's all over with, and I'm going to need you to help me eat stuff.
Hey, you can pick no better partner in crime than me to eat food with you and give you my opinion of it because, we all have to eat. My dad, God rest his soul, when he bought a place in Lexington Market back in the late 70s, early 80s, I said, Dad, is this a good idea? He said, son, people have to eat. And he was never more right than that. That was a great statement. We do have to eat, and we love great food.
My dude, hang on. The better weather's coming. The peaches are coming. The summer corn, the summer heirloom tomatoes, all that good stuff, beach time, and you catching me some fresh fish. I think you're going to go out and I drove past Tochterman's, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to meet Dennis over Tochterman's one day. We're going to do it.
I gotta go see Tony down there soon because I got the fever. So this week, that's on my bucket list. Things to do: go to see Tony at Tochterman's and get some more lures from him. And because next week I'm starting my fishing. I'm starting my fishing next week. You can bet
Deanna
that.
grows them in the back. Make sure you see D. All right.
Hey, if it's 50 degrees or better, I'm heading out. Just so
Dennis,
you know.
Tony was my first ever sponsor, right?
You told me he's
Tony
a
was the first
wonderful,
guy to ever say,
wonderful man.
I believe in what you're doing in 1992. So
Great
anybody who
family.
gives Tony Tochterman love on Eastern Avenue
Got to
means
see him.
there you go. So go buy some
Support
flies.
local businesses.
All right,
Support
that is
local
Koulatsos. He'll
businesses.
be out of Coons Ford Security Boulevard. Hopefully not eating as much as I've been eating the last week. 145 pounds. I'm lean and mean. I'm trim.
My goodness, you're
I'm expanding
sleek.
the yoga studio here with the new vibe that I have here.
A $145 will get you to a healthy 100 years of age. So that when you stay well.
It's killing my knees. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Coons Ford and Baltimore Positive.